right there. I mean, as you can see, I'm repping the Royals though.
Yeah.
Hoping it'll
Oh,
get
nice.
this funk.
Yeah. The real bad funk.
Yeah, it could be worse. They could be the Tigers.
That is true. That is very true.
You know, I mean, that was terrible. So, did you hear that the Brewers, their home opener, did they play at home this last week?
Honestly, I don't know.
I can't remember now. I should know. I can't remember who they even played. Let me scroll back real quick. Saturday Brewers. Oh no, they didn't. This is old. Never mind. Old news. I'm not even gonna do it. Lame. How's it going though?
Going good. Going good. How about yourself?
So far, so good. It was a long day at work with it being like Easter
Oh yeah.
or whatever. Like, I mean, bro, just all this stuff going on at work. So,
Yeah, I bet.
which I'm excited about. It'll be good. Should be fun. I bought 2 hats last week, 2 Cardinal hats. Oh, so sorry. Let me start off with like this. So I was in Florida, for like a couple days with Stephanie,
Mm-hmm.
and on the way back, I had a couple of hats that were on my backpack. 2 hats. One a coffee
Mm-hmm.
hat, my blue one, and the other one was my St. Louis Cardinals hat. It's the one that's like Dijon mustard and brown.
Uh-huh.
And I was super disappointed when I got off the plane in KC that it was gone. My Cardinals hat was gone. I still have my blue hat, but
Mm-hmm.
man, it was brutal. So I filed a lost and found report or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't matter. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to see it. And oddly enough, I'm walking my dog in the city, and I see a guy who has the same hat. I'm not saying that he has my hat. I am saying it's the only time I've seen that hat off my head before, and it happened right after I did it.
I mean, you never know. You should have been like, "Hey, do you work at the airport?"
Yeah. Any chance you work for the airlines? Just
Yeah.
curious. No leading question here because that looks like my hat.
Yeah. It's nothing about my hat on your head, but
Is my hat on your head? This lighting is brutal right now. This is terrible. Anyway, so then as a result, because I don't think I'm going to get it back because it was left on the airplane, I'm pretty sure not the airport. I think
Oh yeah.
I don't. So it's not like the airport does lost and found. It's the airline, which the airline is huge. So good
Mm-hmm.
chance I'm not going to get it back. So I was like, well, I'm going to get a different hat. So I looked online and I saw this hat drop and I was super excited for it. I asked Stephanie, I was like, what do you think? She goes, it's not going to look right on you. And I said, oh, fine, dang it. So I went ahead and bought it anyway with the plan to return it if it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I got it and I got a backup one just in case. It was just one was like a khaki and it looks sick. And then the other one was just a
Mm-hmm.
regular Cardinals, red with an STL. Looked good. Tried both of them on. Neither of them work. So a little disappointed now. So I'm
Yeah.
still without a Cardinals hat. Gonna go look for one. I thought I found one the other day, and then I just can't buy them online. Can you buy hats online?
If I do, they have to be snapback.
Yeah.
I can't buy fitted hats because I under my understanding, it's kind of like the shoes where okay, you may wear 13 in this Nike shoe, but in this other Nike shoe you won't because they're made in different countries.
Yes.
And so I've tried to buy them, and it's either sometimes they're like way too big, and
Mm.
it's the same size I wear in every other fitted hat, or I've had times where it's like way too small.
Yeah. No, I was. That's the same way I am. But I almost even snapback. Sometimes the height is adjusted like on, and so then it fits.
Yeah.
So I have one
Mm-hmm.
hat that kind of fits a little weird, but it was bottom line, and so I'll wear it occasionally. But then by the end of the day, I'm like, this doesn't fit right. I don't like this.
I'm the same way. I'm picky about my hats, but I love my hats, so yeah.
Yeah, you're a hat guy. So I got a hat thought, but I got to fix this lighting. It's gonna bug me too much. Give me a second.
Go for it.
Right back.
What's up, fellas? Hey, Colin, what's going on? Yeah, this weekend for the Blue Jays was not a great opening weekend. They starting pitching was lacking, for lack of better words. Yeah, I mean, at least the hitting was there for the most part. It's not like they really got outscored a whole lot, but yeah, the pitching for the Blue Jays was absolutely brutal this weekend.
We're already talking about it. Come on, Colin. You know we're gonna talk about it, bro. I mean, man, if there's one thing that, and we'll have to get to it, man. I'm sorry. That was a good series overall. It was, I mean, it was just that Cardinals lineup is deep, bro. Like that, a good team.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you walk 10 guys? How do you give up 10 walks and not win?
Yeah, I don't know.
Whew. Man.
God.
Yeah. It was. I know. Yeah, that's the thing. I was like, well, they lost the first one, needed to get the game one, and Michaelis looked terrible, absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it did.
Then Jack Flaherty comes out, starts walking guys, can't get a clean inning, and I'm like, good Lord, what are we doing here? And then he somehow manages not to give up a hit, which is great. But 7 walks is still 7 walks. It was starting to look like an Edwin Jackson no hitter. He has like 9 walks, 146 pitches.
Yeah, 9 walks. He has 5 pass balls, and
yeah. So we'll have to jump into that. But I did have, I have a couple hot takes I want to get to before we actually maybe do the actual podcast. I don't know if you're good with that. But what did you think? Did you watch the women's basketball championship game yesterday?
I watched parts of it. I didn't watch it all, but I watched a decent part of it.
Yeah. What did you think? Were you surprised? I mean, Iowa was coming in on fire.
I was surprised. I mean, I thought, Caitlin Clark, just the month of March she had going along with the Big Ten, I actually have a great stat for that.
What is it?
She scored in the month of March with the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament. She had more points in that single March than the Iowa football team had all last year.
Yeah, that guy that has that I cheer for the punter he's loving that stat. That is a good one. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. She was scoring like crazy. Still had a good championship game. It was just, I think LSU just had a little bit more left in the tank to finish it.
Yeah, and I think the reffing was a little suspect.
Yeah?
I mean, they called her for that push off and the phantom push off, and then the technical foul. I mean, I kind of get it, but then again, I'm like, man, that's the one you probably should have swallowed the whistle on, and that because all she did was just toss the ball behind her back. It went, the baseline. It wasn't like she chunked it or like threw it on the ground. So I mean, I get both aspects of it as a ref going, okay, we got to make sure we keep that, but also the fact that it really wasn't that egregious. Then there's the fact that Kim Mulkey was on the court, I don't know how many times, and the ref had to push her off, like physically push her off the court, and no warning, no technical foul for, being on the court or whatever. I don't know. There was just a few things that I thought were a little bleh, the refs that they kind of put themselves in the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, who would have thought that you wouldn't have sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. It sucks seeing that refs have to be a conversation of a championship basketball game. Do you think the right team won?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, the way they were playing, and then in that first half, they missed a single 3-pointer. And yeah, they
total is a ton of points. I mean, they just were sinking everything. Except
so they deserved to win the game. I think if the reffing was a little bit different, it may have been a little bit closer of a game. But they deserved it. Nothing against them. They played their butt off the whole tournament and went out there and put on a show. They were proving that they were unstoppable.
Yeah. The big downfall for Clark was the 6 turnovers. As a team, they had 16. While LSU only had 12, 18-19 on fouls. So those were pretty close, but I think it was the timeliness of the fouls. Colin said that she showed her inner Steph Curry. I think that's 100% accurate. I mean, she dominated. Oh, yeah. He did, especially if you think back to when he was in college and how he just lit up that tournament that year.
Yeah.
Man. So, I mean, any picks for tonight's game? You got San Diego State, UConn. Any dogs in the fight on this one?
Yeah, I think UConn's going to dominate this game, honestly.
Against the defense travels, man. Come on now.
Defense does, but UConn has won every single game by double digits. And I honestly don't see that not happening because they've just been that dominant in the tournament. It was a team that a lot of people are like, oh, watch out for UConn. They're starting to get hot again because at the beginning of the season, UConn was hot and they were looking like a team to beat. And then I kind of went through this month lull where you're like, okay, the hot start, they cooled off, and then they got hot again right at the end of the season. They've just carried it into the tournament. And like I thought, Texas would have a chance, and they just dominated. And dominated Miami, who dominated Texas. And I don't know if San Diego State has enough offense to stay with them.
I mean, their offense came alive enough in the last game. It was against FAU, who was having a great run. I want San Diego State to win, right? UConn's won one before. UConn's had his great tournaments before. San Diego State, let's have another great run. And I just want to see that type of team win, that program win. And that defense matters, especially in college basketball. It definitely matters more than it does in the NBA. Do you know that now we have an official winner for our bracket challenge?
I did. I saw that.
Did you believe that? Alejandro W. with the win because he's the only person that got a single point in the Final Four side of the challenge.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Man, this guy, he's got to love it. I don't even know if he's here on the chat today, but he is a supporter of the podcast, so I do appreciate it. But yeah, sneaks up. Call him, man. I'm sorry. It looked like you had this one locked down. And then
just needed Miami. If Miami would have won against UConn,
would have been
you were in the driver's seat. Yeah, you would have got it, but
oh yeah,
UConn.
I know. Yeah, I don't know if you saw. We're gonna get to more baseball news here, but Perry in the chat. I don't know if you could. I forgot to even put this up there. Look at this breaking news: Chicago White Sox pitcher Dylan Cease buys his second disc golf course. I'm just saying, worlds are colliding. We have an avid disc golf fan. I will say, I know Perry's also designing a disc golf course as well. So I mean, this guy's and he's a huge Royals fan. As much as that can mean. I mean, huge. I mean, they're terrible right now. So, but still, I'm just saying. Your thoughts? Any more interest in frisbee golf now that it's colliding with Major League Baseball?
I mean, I would give it a go. I would play it. I just don't know how well I would be at it because, like I said, I can't throw a normal frisbee, let alone trying to throw one through trees and make sure I'm dodging stuff and then throw it into the basket. I don't know if I could do it. So, but hey, I'm all for it to give it a try.
So you're like me. You want to go to the frisbee golf course that has no trees. It's just flat ground, maybe some hills. There's some curves. That's my style. I'm not a professional like Dylan Cease or this or Perry.
I mean, you gotta love Perry coming in every once in a while with the disc golf, news.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you gotta love it. And hey, look at this. You come to KC.
I mean, I've got to make my way up there. The Dodgers are playing in Kansas City this year, so
it's true.
Maybe we'll make a trip of it.
Have a whole plan. We'll show you the town. It is a good city. It is a good city.
I'm game.
So here's my hot take. I want to know because we're still here a little bit in the world of college sports. 5 years from now. Sorry, you just got me on that. It's a date. So 5 years from now, who has the better program? Georgia football or Colorado football? Assuming that Deion's still there and Kirby's still there.
Georgia.
You say Georgia. Okay, tell me why.
Because they've built the culture already.
All right, hold on. This is gonna be too good. We got to hit record because we're gonna go on this for a second. You ready? You want to hit record?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'll redo the question. Okay.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everyone, to the W Podcast. Baseball season is here, but we are going to still be talking all things football and baseball today. But if you didn't know this, the YouTube channel already live right now as we're hit record. And, of course, there's bonus content already there. If you want to know more about our thoughts on tonight's game for the college basketball, as we're recording this, it is Monday night, as well as the replay of what happened this last weekend with LSU defeating Iowa, all that and more over on our YouTube channel. So please go head over there. But Tubby, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here. Hey, don't forget about the bonus disc golf, in the beginning too.
That is true. A very avid disc golf course designer and avid watcher. I mean, there's a whole whole fantasy league for it. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember you guys saying something about it.
So a whole thing. I don't know if Perry is still doing the fantasy disc golf league. I can't remember. I don't think he said he is anymore, but he was doing it. So in case we need to get hooked up, that's the guy.
There we go. So maybe we'll have to have him come on and be like, all right, this is who you drafting when it comes to disc golf.
Oh, I'm sure if you gave him half of like that opportunity, he would jump at it. Boom. A whole new niche program. Niche? Is it niche? Right?
Niche.
Yeah, there you go. Whole niche program. So here's my question. As we start off the show, yes, we are going to talk about baseball today. But before we get to baseball, I got a leading question, and it's based off of college football. So here's the question. In 5 years from now, assuming both Kirby Smart and Deion Sanders are there, which program is going to be better, just a better program overall, Colorado or Georgia? Who you got?
It's Georgia, and to me, I don't know. To me, it's not a discussion. They've built the culture already. It's there. Can Deion build a culture in 5 years in an area where they've really struggled just to get people to come to school there? And I think there's a lot of more hype around Deion just being Deion than there is. I mean, yeah, he did great, where he was. I don't know. I don't think that he can build a team the way that we've seen Kirby build a team. I don't know if he has that to build a culture like that, because I mean, there's some things I've watched. They had that show on Amazon, and there's some things I've watched, and I was just like, I was not a fan of the way he handled stuff. I mean, like kicking a guy off the team by putting it to a team vote, which that's cool, but you're doing it on camera in front of everyone, all the the TVs, it's all on Amazon and stuff like that, and he's just like, get up and leave. We don't want you here no more. Get up and leave. I was like, there's ways you go about that. That's not how you do it. And that's just some of the stuff. I don't know if he can build that culture like a Kirby Smart or like we've seen Nick Saban or even Dabo Sweeney do over the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah. Here's my hot take. I think it'll be Colorado, assuming he's still at Colorado and he's given the time, and he keeps progressing, that he will have a better culture. I think that Georgia's on this tipping point of being like Miami. And not saying because of, Miami in a sense that Miami would just have these massive star, boom, they are on the radar and they're incredible and they're the best. And then they die off. And they got to come back up and then day off. And they haven't come back up again. Miami has it, but they did it twice. And I say that because of this offseason in particular. There are so many guys on this roster, so many leaders on this roster who may be on with one foot out the door because they're graduating or moving on to the NFL. That's fine. But to see where they are right now is eye-opening. I don't feel like we've seen this same thing from some of the other programs that you mentioned already before outside of Smart. I think he's built a heck of a football program, but I also think that they've leaned very hard on football and talent, which they have two very good ones, and not necessarily the same thing of culture of like what Nick Saban has. I think they're a little bit different. And I think what I've seen from Deion, Coach Prime, is that this guy, he cares about football and he cares about developing men. And all the, I understand, putting the on camera, it's obviously going to add a lot of this extra element that normally we wouldn't have access to. I mean, if there was another team that did this, we'd have no idea if they kicked a guy off the team due to a team vote. And I bet that happens every now and then. It's an old school move, but I could totally see him continue to build a culture of, hey, we win. And we, remember Wooden, like one of the things that he would always do, he'd start with, how do you tie your shoe? Because if you're thinking about all this kind of stuff later on, then you're not going to be winning. And so he's the type of mind that does that. He sits at the front of class and you're like, well, why does that matter? Because he realizes that 95% of the players in college football do not play in the NFL. So he's not worried about developing these guys to get to the NFL. He's worried about developing these guys to be good men, good fathers, good husbands, good employees, all this stuff in the future and help them get to the next step. I think ultimately that could be the separating factor of maybe he doesn't win more championships, right? Because he's just not going to have the talent pool that Georgia will. But I think program-wise, it'll be a healthier program down the road than possibly what Georgia's looks like. And that's, it's just a hot take.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't see it. I'm not big on the Deion. I don't buy into a lot because, like I said, I've watched other stuff, like him as a high school coach. there's instances where I've watched him where his son literally is cussing out the refs, gets thrown out of the game, does nothing to reprimand him, and pats him on the shoulder and says, "Hey, good game." To me, I'm not about that. I'm about someone that's going to hold their players accountable. And that, to me, he didn't. Didn't ever, to me, because I figured, hey, that's your son. You can be even harder on him because that is your son. You can discipline, and it was nothing. But yet you're going to kick a guy off the team in front of all the cameras. But you won't reprimand your son in front of all the cameras in a high school game. How is that going to translate to college? And that's where I think, I think he can be successful. He's able to recruit really well. I question the culture part of it all. That's where I don't think that he can build the culture that we've seen Kirby, because Kirby to me is on par culture wise with what Nick Saban has done because he's learned from Nick Saban. He was his defense coordinator for how many years, and he's taken that and he's done it himself. And so that's why I think the culture wise, it's going to be, Georgia. I see him having the success that Nick Saban has, and we're seeing it right now already. And that's where I don't know if in 5 years if he can get. I mean, eventually, recruiting is going to help a lot, but if you ain't winning, you ain't going to get the kids there, and so that's going to hurt the program more, and than what it's going to be in Georgia. Because I mean, if Georgia's on this winning streak, like we've seen, with Alabama and stuff like that, they're going to get guys, and I feel like he has done a good job at coaching up people. There's always going to be one or two guys that you're going to miss on, and they're going to have off the field issues.
Yeah. It's just it just seems like much more of a glaring issue now than it was even in recent years. And so it's not that can he get there? He's there. It's what do you do when you're there? And I don't know if it looks like he has the ability yet. He could rein it all in. Kirby Smart could, and then help reset the culture, make sure it's going the right direction. I'm just saying, like, he's also going to be in a conference without USC, without Lincoln Riley, without that recruiting, juggernaut for offense. He's going to be without UCLA, which isn't a big deal, but that's Chip Kelly going to the Big Ten. So he has a winnable conference too. So he will be in the spotlight, obviously, but he'll be in the opportunity to win in the spotlight too. So we'll see how it goes. It's just a hot take. Hot takes are supposed to be, hot takes. So
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm for Coach Prime. I like the way he's doing it. It's different.
Yeah, I mean it is, but then there's just some stuff like I saw he did a commercial during the middle of practice, and it had me scratching my head. I'm like, you're doing a commercial about
it's spring practice,
Hey, spring practices are very important.
Maybe that was the footage they needed.
It was a commercial for a cooler air conditioner like thing, and I'm like.
Makes sense.
You're doing it right in the middle of practice. You see everyone back there practicing, and you're sitting here doing a commercial. That's just some of the things that I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Tim brings up a point. I think that's what a lot of people were worried about is maybe he's just a good player, but not a good coach. He did bring up a program that was not good at Jackson State, and he did bring them up. And part of that was with the recruiting side of it. But I think he can be a good coach, especially when he brings the right guys. And that was one thing that we mentioned in the offseason when he was bringing in these different coordinators and stuff like that. We liked a lot of those hires. So I think he has the right people, hopefully, to set him up to succeed. And it's Colorado. The only way to go is up.
I mean, that's very true. But my one big thing is the winning side of it. He said the conference will be wide open now with USC leaving, and then you've got UCLA. Can Utah stay relevant? I don't know. I mean, but you got Dan Lanning in Oregon. That's going to be tough. Mm-hmm. But with UCLA leaving and USC leaving, does that deter players now from going? Okay, well, we're going to be going to not so great program, not so great conference, and we're going to Colorado, a program that hasn't had success since the early 2000s.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, time will tell. In 2028, we'll know the answer to this question. As long as we don't forget, chat, don't let us forget on YouTube. Make sure you bring it back up. Set a reminder on your phone, whatever it takes. But yeah, so let's go ahead. Let's move on to some of the other news and notes. If you're good, if there's nothing else you have for college,
nope, we're good.
So looking at this last week, I was driving around the park here yesterday, and they're already setting up for the draft. The stage,
nice.
It's getting it already. So I didn't think that they're going to do it this early, and it looks like a lot of it will be outside.
Oh yeah.
So how in the world though are the Commanders worth $6 billion?
just the way football is nowadays. I mean, the Panthers sold for $4 billion, a couple of years ago. So it's just the inflation, the way that the I guess you talk about like the price point of these teams now, how much they're worth and how much they're making.
Yeah.
I mean, the Broncos sold for a little over $4.5 million, last year, or the year before that. So yeah, it's just these inflation the way it is. I mean, I can't imagine what the Cowboys would sell for, right now.
Oh my gosh, that must be.
Yeah.
That's true. I guess we'll probably never know. I don't think they're ever
No. No.
No reason to. So $6 billion. I think that's another reason why Lamar Jackson just needs to get paid.
Right. I mean,
ever since he said that, I was like, you know what, you're 100% right. Because I didn't think it would be $6 billion. I thought maybe 2 or 3, something like that at most, but 6.
Yeah, and it was like, oh yeah, he had one. No, he had multiple $6 billion offers.
Yeah.
For that team. So yeah, he's going to get paid to sell the team, and the dude doesn't deserve any of it. But I guess from what it sounds like, he is in a tremendous amount of debt.
Okay, didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like a lot of debt.
All the lawyer fees.
Yeah, and it was like he took out like money for certain other stuff, and like it's hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, he probably should take that deal because it sounds like he's coming out on top.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would believe so.
Yeah. One of the things that you sent, we'll move on to some of the baseball news if that's all right with you. I mean, I don't have a whole lot else to go with on football right now until we get to the draft. But the minor league, I love that you sent this to me. They finally have a CBA, which is absolutely crazy that they did beforehand, but it's crazy that they do now because they got it done so under the radar. So not only will they have salaries for all the different levels, but there's just different stipulations and stuff like that. So how big of a deal should this be for just the average fan to know?
I think it's massive because I don't think that people realize how little these minor league players got paid and the way it was structured. Like, I mean, didn't get paid in the offseason at all. They didn't get paid for spring training, the minor league spring training. They didn't get paid for any of that, a couple months of going. And you've got now they're going to get paid pretty much year round. I think they said there's a 6-week gap in the wintertime where they won't get paid, but that's a whole lot better from going, okay, we don't get paid basically from October until March.
It's way better.
So yeah, and then the amount of like the salaries now they're going up, A-ball, you're making $11,000. I mean, that's less than most people can make working at McDonald's. You're working a 40-hour week, or even 35-hour week. That's less than what you could probably make working at McDonald's or Walmart. And so now it goes up to the 26 for low A and 27 for high A, and then you got double A going up from 18,000 up to 30,000, and then the triple A going from 17.5 to 35,000. I think it was huge because, like I said, I don't think that people realize that they got this money and it was basically from March to hoping if you play in October, and that was it. You were not getting paid for 6 to 7 months, and they were having to go out and get jobs just to try to sustain.
Better?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. You're not taking into consideration these minor league players are having to basically room with a bunch of people. 2-bedroom apartment. They've got like 5 players in there, and training. You got to pay people hitting coaches, fielding coaches if in the off season. So they really aren't making any money to chase a dream. Possibly one day making it to the majors. I think it's huge for them that they were able to get this done. And what was it? 99% of the players voted yes on it. There was 1%. I don't know what 1%. I don't know if they weren't happy with it.
They had to,
and they
forgot about the vote.
or they were just hoping for more. But I mean, this is a substantial step forward for these younger guys that didn't get drafted and they got signed to these minor league deals. That kids that are chasing these dreams. What's America about? Chasing your dreams. So I think this is great for them.
Absolutely. Well, so have you watched any minor league baseball yet? I mean, AAA season started. Did AA season start?
No, AA, or at least the Dodgers don't start until Friday.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it was close. They don't start at the same time, but I felt like AAA started earlier this year.
I feel like it did too. It usually starts around, like maybe a day or so before AA, but it started basically a day or so after the majors.
I know. Usually it feels like a week. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right. So we had opening weekend, only one series for every team. Some teams got 4 games, so every day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Some of them only had 3 games. So it's Overreaction Monday, right? So you can do all the thing like, man, this dude's gonna have 162 stolen bases this year now, or whatever it is, or Madison Bumgarner is gonna give up 600 home runs this year because look how bad this was. So looking at this, what's the biggest overreaction I think that you'd have right now?
Oh, I got a good one. And this one may be a little different because the Mets did win, the series, but I went with the NL East only gets one team in the playoffs. The Mets and Phillies both missed the playoffs.
Mets missed the and okay, so obviously we can get to the Phillies. That was your team to be a bust this year, so I'm not surprised about that. And the Mets, we know they're going to Mets, and they already Mets before the season started with Verlander already hitting the IL. So what else kind of brought that out?
I don't know. It's just the way that the Mets played. I didn't think they played overly great. I mean, Kodai Senga was crazy, incredible. That ghost workball is insane. Did you see that in the stadium pitch recognizer for the Marlins? They couldn't detect what the pitch was. It said pitch unknown.
No, I did not see that. That's awesome, though. It's a good sign.
But I wasn't overly excited about the way the offense played. And I thought there was some, lack of, hitting and stuff like that. But it is early, but this is exactly an overreaction maybe. But I thought it was a one that, very well possibly could happen. It, like I said, I picked the Phillies to underachieve this year. You picked the Mets. So
I picked the Mets. I think their owner thinks they're going to win 117 games.
Yeah. So maybe it's not, overly crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at them, their pitching was supposed to be their calling card this year. Phillies as well. Phillies have given up 29 runs in 3 games. I mean, they're scoring almost 4 runs a game, which isn't going to win you a whole lot. But when you're giving up almost 10, it's going to be a long season if that's the case. But it's going to be a slow season. They had a shorter offseason because of the World Series, the deep run that they weren't supposed to make that they did. So you look at that, Phillies set up to have a slow start. But just imagine this team with Trey Turner, with a healthy Bryce Harper, who looks like he's on track to be ahead of schedule. I think that's a redundant statement there. On track to be ahead of schedule doesn't make sense. Anyways, so they have that, and then they have plenty of games against the Marlins and Nationals, so they could creep up. But I would not be surprised. So if that's the case, who's sneaking in instead of them?
So I had to go with the Brewers, and then my dark horse, the Diamondbacks, even though they looked absolutely awful.
Well, they did, but if they scored 2 runs, they were undefeated.
Right? Oh, gosh.
Man. Yeah, I like the overreaction that I had right now was based off of numbers. So, one, Aaron Judge is going to hit 60 home runs again, obviously. I mean, first at bat, he already hit 2. The second one was that someone will lead the league with over 70 stolen bases.
Ooh.
At the rate that people were stealing bases this first weekend, and it was lower than spring training, which is normal. It looked great. Cedric Mullins didn't have a single stolen base all spring training. He was one of those guys I considered for the lead, and I was like, I just don't know. Maybe this is not the year because he's moved down in the lineup, so maybe they're not going to run him as much. No, dude goes out there, has a great first week, despite the Orioles being the Orioles, and I think he had 3 stolen bases or 4 in a couple
4.
So 4 stolen bases. So I was like, man, I'll take that any day. That was great.
I mean, they set an MLB record for the first 2 games. 10 for 10. Didn't get thrown out once.
You see Corbin Carroll?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was no Syndergaard who's got really slow delivery time, but he stole second base and then stole third base on the next pitch, no throw.
Yeah, both times Smith had a double clutch because it was, trying to react to the fastest guy in baseball. It's going to be a little tough.
Yeah, which is why I'm saying I feel like that's the overreaction because you're like, oh, it's going to slow down. I mean, even last year, remember Birdie? He had like 34 before the break and ended with 36, I think. So you could see one of those things happening. But I don't know. I just feel like this is the year that people are just going to keep on running.
Yeah. Oh no, I absolutely agree. I think that there's a legit chance we see someone hit 60, and yeah, if seven, I wouldn't be absolutely shocked if someone somehow snuck up and hit 70. I mean, Volpe's got 3 in 3 games, so I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I had another one.
Yeah.
Adley Rutschman wins the MVP.
Really? I mean, 5 for 5 is hard to argue against that. What I didn't see what he did after that though.
I mean, I think he's hitting like 400 home run, 5 or 6 RBS. It's basically he hasn't really done what he did the first game. I mean, that's hard to
How are you supposed to?
yeah to reproduce. But I mean, it was either him or Wander Franco, and I was like, let's go with the more absurd one.
Wander did have a great start to the season
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, he's batting like 670 something.
Yeah, that was the thing for Baltimore. Their offense was phenomenal. And I heard a joke. He's a big Steelers fan, and he goes, "Yeah, he's like the Orioles versus Red Sox look like the Ravens versus the Patriots last year. 10-9, 8-9, 8-7." Like I was like, it's just so much offense, and there's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, Chris Sale, he struck out some batters, but he looked bad.
Oh yeah,
I think a lot of the aces just across the board just did not look sharp.
no, yeah. This week was not a fun week to be a pitcher or a catcher.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
No.
So go over. Let's start with the catchers. So obviously, our boy Wilson Contreras gets hit with a 103-mile-an-hour fastball right to the kneecap.
Yeah.
Misses a game and a half. Okay, it's to be expected. So then, what was the other ones?
Well, I mean, the runners went 69 for 83 on stolen bases. Reese McGuire gave up 9 of the 69 stolen bases.
Who's he only play for?
Boston.
Oh man, there you go.
Yeah, playing against the Orioles. I mean, yeah,
yeah, they didn't get once.
Yeah, you're a catcher. You are going to have a fun time this year trying to throw people out because of the new rules, which I'm all for. I am absolutely loving seeing the small ball because it's not just the stolen bases. I've seen there's 2 games so far this year where a bunt was the deciding factor in the game. The Diamondbacks versus the Dodgers last night. McCarthy drops down the perfect bunt, 2 outs in the top of the 8th. They score the second run, and they win 2-1. And then the same thing with the Mariners Guardians game. They drop down a bunt in the 10th inning, win the game.
Yeah.
So I love that we're seeing small ball get back into the game. But yeah, catchers, you're not going to be having a fun time with it because there's already more stolen bases this year in the first 50 games than there was like in the first month of last year.
That's crazy. You know one team that doesn't have any stolen bases?
Who's that?
Marlins.
Well, yeah, it's because what was it? 6 of their 7 runs were off of home runs.
I get that, but come on now. I mean, do something. It's Skip Schumacher. It's not like it's Don Mattingly out there.
No, what I'm saying is that they ain't getting on base.
That's what you're saying. Yeah, they didn't hit well. Other than Luis Arraez.
Yeah, I mean, Arraez, he's going to get on base, but that's about the only guy on that team that you look at and go, okay, he can consistently get on base. And, yeah, it's going to be a rough year for them, offensive-wise.
Arraez went 9 for 18.
Yeah.
It's just apparently no. My idea that maybe he'll struggle hitting there, it doesn't matter. I was wrong.
No,
absolutely.
They just put him at the top of the lineup and like, okay, you can get on. We'll hope that maybe Soler will find a home run here and there, or Jazz Chisholm will walk into one.
Yeah, I could see it. I don't know. So we're talking about the Marlins. Whose alternates were better, the Marlins or the Rays?
Oh man, I don't like this. I love both of them. I think the Marlins absolutely need to permanently go back to the teals. Absolutely, some of the best uniforms in all of sports. I love the teal uniforms. And the Friday, the teal helmet with the pinstripes was absolutely incredible. But I do, I do love the old Devil Rays.
You know what I think it is? Because they have that one other color, right? They have the yellow that sneaks in there with the black.
Yeah.
It's just the green too. I guess they have that color too. It is such a great color scheme, and Come on, you're in Florida. Have some fun with the uniform. Have some color on it. Like,
Yeah.
I lean towards the Marlins classic one just because to me, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the one I recognized longer, and they were good when I was, when we were younger. They were pretty good for those 2
Yeah.
years. So they won a World Series. Where the Rays were still not good until we were older, and by that point they'd already not had success in those classic uniforms,
Mm-hmm.
or at least the same level of success.
Yeah. And then what? Towards like the 2008, 2009, 2010, whatever, they went over to the newer uniforms. So we didn't really get to see the older ones a whole lot. Like, but the purple hat with the black with the accent of the yellow over it. Yeah, to me, if you're trying to get people into the stands like the Marlins are trying to do and like the Rays are trying to do, I think it's a great idea, but just have it all day or all season. Just
Yeah,
go back to it because I mean the Marlins, I don't like it. I think it's terrible. The new one, I think, ugh.
it's a little
The,
boring. It's very
yeah,
safe,
yeah. The Rays ain't too bad because they can throw in that baby blue every once in a while, so it's not as bad.
but their logo is lame.
Yeah, yeah. The logo on the
Oh,
baby blue one, yeah, the little whatever the shining star or whatever they're trying to make it be.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like the start of an actual ray in geometry where it's a little dot and then a
yeah,
line. That's it. It's the little dot. That's what they've chosen. It's awful.
yeah. They couldn't afford the rest of the line.
Yeah, so I guess we're just gonna go with the star. So yeah, I would love both those teams too. Another team I would like to go back to the classic uniforms of the turn of the century would have been the Diamondbacks.
Yeah,
I love the purple, the green, the same thing. It's that color scheme. I never really liked the red when they did the red primarily. Just kind of
yeah.
boring. Gray is
Mm-hmm.
fine, but just thought the Royals also started this year off with some of the baby powder blues, and they're
Mm-hmm.
okay. They're
Yeah.
okay.
A lot of people were hating on their City Connect uniforms, and I liked them a lot. I thought it was a
They're one of the better
cool,
ones.
yeah, I thought it was a cool concept that they went with, and so I wouldn't mind seeing them wear those ones more. I think those ones are a cool one, but yeah, or maybe the Nationals need to like try to figure out some way to get that Expos look into it. The blue, the blue with the pinstripes or whatever. Maybe a cool concept. I know you can't go with the Expo logo or whatever, but kind of try to incorporate that in there because you're gonna have to try to find some way to get people in the stadiums because these teams are not good.
Yeah, they're just not. They're not. Well, I mean, Tampa Bay is.
Yeah, I should say Tampa Bay is, but the other three not so much.
Yeah, who's the pitcher for Tampa Bay that everyone was raving about?
Oh man, I can't even remember his name. I had never really heard of him until
Jeffrey
that
Drake.
start.
Yeah, he had a good
Yeah,
last year. He looked good. Man, he's making me feel good about my World Series pick. But it was against the Tigers.
yeah,
The only team that was worse than the Royals this opening weekend, I think, was the Tigers.
yeah, yeah. The Tigers, gosh, if that's the glimpse of what their future looks like, if you're a Tigers fan, I am sorry.
Torkelson still can't hit the ball.
Yeah,
He hits it hard, straight to the defense. I mean, every single thing he does, it's just so bad. I don't
yeah.
understand. Still
The
paying Miguel
pitching,
Cabrera a ton of money. Javi Baez, ton of money.
yeah. The pitching. I mean, there's just. I mean, Turnbull gave up was it 8 earned runs, something like that the other day. 7 in two and a third innings, gave up 7 earned runs.
That's pretty bad. It's almost as bad as Patrick Corbin or Madison Bumgarner,
Hey, Corbin only gave up like 3 or 4 earned runs.
but it's Patrick Corbin. Come on, man. Who are they
Yeah.
playing?
Oh, I don't know.
At this point, I'm running into this
Yeah.
series already.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember who they played. It was it Brewers?
I don't remember if it was I don't think it was the Brewers. Braves.
Honestly, the Braves. Okay. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had back-to-back home runs a couple
3
times.
innings.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah. He's eating those innings. All 3 of them.
hey,
It's 9
still
outs.
more than Strasburg will probably pitch this year.
Bingo. Yep, nailed it. So who'd you rather have as your starting pitcher right now? Patrick Corbin or Madison Bumgarner? Who gets the title of worst pitcher in baseball? Starting pitcher.
Absolutely. I'll take Madison Bumgarner over Corbin any day, and I do not like Madison Bumgarner. I'm a Dodgers fan. the history, Giants, Dodgers, and what transpired between Dodgers and Madison Bumgarner a few times. I'll take Bumgarner over that guy, over Corbin Burns any day
Or
of the
Patrick
week.
Corbin.
Patrick Corbin.
You
Yeah,
said Corbin
whatever.
Burns. Could you imagine?
No.
Yeah, no. Here first. Tell me,
Yeah.
does not like Corbin Burns. Moving on.
No. Yeah, no. Patrick Corbin is absolutely awful.
Yeah. Well, Corbin Burns, his first start of the season wasn't probably what he drew up to be.
No.
So maybe you're not wrong. He had 5 innings. He only had 3 strikeouts. What did he give up? 6 runs? 4 runs? 4 runs.
Yeah.
4 runs. So not exactly ideal. He also walked 3, but I think he had a slow start to last year. He's going to be fine. I don't think people should be worried about him. But Madison Bumgarner, he's already hurt. So we talked about some other injuries already. And Juan Soto he looked locked in, ready to go in the WBC. Comes in and has been terrible so far.
1 for 14.
1 for 14. So is this just, hey, give it some time, he's going to be fine?
I mean, if you're saying be fine around 230, 240 batting average, yeah. If you're hoping for like the 270, 280, I don't think it's going to happen this year. I said, last week, I think that we're seeing him trying to figure out how to play as he's still growing into the type of player he's going to be. I think future-wise, he can be a legit, type of player like Bryce Harper, but I like to use that as a, comparison because we saw Bryce Harper do this exact thing. First couple years of his career, the guy was like, okay, this is what we drafted him for. This is what we expected. Then there was a 2-3 year gap there where it was just kind of what we were expecting. Injuries kind of crept in and stuff like that. I think that's what we're seeing with Soto.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I think 230, 240 is what we're going to see. He's bat 071. He's got more strikeouts than walks.
I know. I did see that.
Which is something that I think can make. I mean, yeah, it's not a whole lot right now, but if that's a trend we're going to see this year, will be something I think is a little disconcerting if you're a Padres fan because it's not something you would expect from Soto. We expect Soto on base percentage to be decent because he's got a great eye for the ball, but he's striking out already. So that may be a concern going forward if this trend keeps going. But yeah, I mean, right now it's not looking great for the start of the season for Juan Soto.
Yeah, and Nelson Cruz also on the team 0 for 7. That's anything. So I think the Padres, that's the good news. I mean, if you're a Dodgers fan, you gotta be disappointed because you split the series with the Diamondbacks, but you dominated the Diamondbacks overall. Whew. Man, I should not have looked at that score. Cardinals and Braves. Jake Woodford is going to be a starting pitcher against that lineup. 6-1, top second.
Nice.
has what it takes to come back. Anyway, sorry, side down. We'll come back to that. So the Dodgers tied at 2-2. Padres, Diamondbacks. It seems like everyone in that division has 2 wins except for the Giants. Do the Giants have 2 wins?
Yeah, everyone has 2-2. Yeah.
So you look at that. I mean, how are you feeling? I mean, this wasn't what you probably expected.
I expected them to start a little slow, the Dodgers, honestly, because I think it's the bottom half of that lineup is what we're going to need to see happen, which honestly, the bottom half of the lineup kind of played a little bit better than the top half. I mean, Miguel Vargas, and yeah, it's the start of the season. You look at numbers and you're like, okay, it's just the first 4 games. But there's one trend that I was extremely happy to see. He's batting 400, but he has 8 walks already through 4 games, which for a young guy, he's not chasing pitches. He's only struck out once and has 8 walks. So I think that's a great thing that we're seeing early on from him, that the spring training thing worked, putting him up there and just letting him recognize pitches, even though he wasn't going to swing.
Yeah.
But I think that is a great trend. Outman played pretty solid for the most part, but Mookie Betts had a home run. He's off to a little bit of a slow start. JD Martinez, same thing, hit a home run, off to a slow start. Will Smith is on fire. He's been basically the only offense we've had.
Yeah.
So
Max Muncy just striking out a bunch.
Yeah, Muncy, Taylor, they're all doing what we expected to do, and it's strike out. I was hoping we would see a bounce back year, and yeah, like you said, it's only 4 games. Hopefully Muncy's able to write something, But if not, I don't know what they'll do there. That they're going to have a hole in the middle of the lineup with him batting behind Freeman and Martinez or wherever they decide to put him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean Trace Thompson leads the majors in home runs and RBIs.
Yeah, fluke or not?
Absolute fluke.
Okay, good. I just want people to understand that this how he's like 30, I think, right now. We know who he is. This isn't his first time with the Dodgers. I saw him play in Oklahoma City so many times when he was in the minors. So, not saying that that's a bad thing. I just don't expect him to hit 45 home runs this year.
No, I mean he cracks 20. I would be a little surprised because the way they've already showed that they're going to let Outman play, which I'm extremely happy about because at the beginning of the spring training, I was like, okay, yeah, we need Outman needs to be in this lineup over Trace Thompson just because we need to get him experience in the major. So I was happy about that. The starting pitching was lights out dominant and like something we expected. There's one thing from Syndergaard that he talked about. Everyone's been questioning, okay, the velocity's down a little bit this year. Is that concern? He said, no, the velocity's down because I'm not throwing as hard on purpose. He's like, one thing that Mark Pryor has told me, he said, it's not about how hard you can throw, but it's where you can place the pitches. And he said, that's what I'm focusing on is being able to spot my pitches where I want to. And he's like, and it's already starting to happen. The strikeout numbers may not be as high, velocity may not be as high, but it's because I'm not just trying to go out there and throw 100 miles an hour. I'm trying to go out there and place my pitches where I need to. And so that's something I am extremely happy about, that he's finally getting some sense going, okay, I don't have to throw it 100 or 99 miles an hour every single pitch.
Yeah, which is so nice. As a Cardinals fan, I love that they have people finally on their team like Helsley and Hicks and other guys who throw super hard. But Cabrera's not on this team right now because Genesis Cabrera isn't on this team because he can't get the ball over the plate because he's trying to throw the cover off the ball. It's better to throw 98 where you want it than it is to throw 103 and not know where it's going.
Yeah.
I know that's 5 miles an hour. That's a huge difference. But I saw the Cardinals against the Jays this weekend, 10 walks in one game. And yeah, they did win the game. The Jays just had it was a tough day for them. But I mean, that many walks, it was so frustrating, constantly through 3 ball counts. And you're like, well, here we go again, because there's no confidence in where they're going to put it. And the Blue Jays lineup did not win the series, but they are such a good lineup that they would not give up at bats, and they would constantly battle, and they just weren't swinging at stuff. If it was going to be a foul ball, then it was a foul ball. But if it wasn't, it's like, all right, fine. We're just going to go ahead and we're going to wait for our next pitch. Oh, ball 4. Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to keep on moving. Move on to the next one.
Yeah, and I think that's a very underrated thing that a lot of pitchers don't do a whole lot anymore. Like a Greg Maddux, who wasn't the hardest thrower, but the man never walked. He hardly walked anyone. And he had all these strikeouts because he was able to pinpoint almost every single pitch every single time. And it's something, like Clayton Kershaw in his prime, he wasn't the hardest throw, mid 90s, 95, 96. It was usually what he would top out at. But it was because he was able to place that slider or that fastball or that curveball exactly where he wanted to every single time. And I think that's, everyone's all about velocity. And I'm like, yeah, it's great and all, but if you can't put it where it needs to be, if you're leaving it over the heart of the plate or you're walking the guy, what's the point in being able to throw 101 miles an hour if you can't put it where it needs to be?
You won't be in high leverage situations. You'll be a bullpen arm that they'll be excited about that will never land a solid home in a fit just because you can't quite get control. And command and control are 2 very, very important things. Throwing hard is extremely important too. Don't get me wrong, but you just got to find that balance. Well, the weekend series, the Cardinals loved. Sorry, Colin, man. That day's kind of pretty good. Just a rough day pitching. The weather was just brutal on Saturday. It was windy. It was 34. Great baseball weather for the April opening days in the Midwest. But they just relentless. Even that 10-9 game, that opening one, it seemed like so many just bloop hits. That barely got through, that barely dropped in over and over again. And that's one thing you saw about this lineup for the Cardinals was that it is so deep. And just like the 103, Colin just put in the chat, 103 almost ruined their catcher. It did, 100%. And I don't know how he wasn't ready for that. Get the glove down. Like I know that Hicks isn't healthy all offseason, but get the glove where it needs to be. So he just wasn't used to it because Cubs don't throw that hard. Yeah, so the lineup was so deep. The biggest factor for most of these teams right now is there's one glaring weakness, I think, for every team, whether it's defense, whether it's offensive lineup at the bottom half, or it's starting pitching or bullpen. Right now, it's clearly for the Cardinals, it's the starting pitching. Even today, as we're reporting, Jake Woodford, who is now taking the spot for Adam Wainwright in the rotation, it's given up a 6-bomb in the first 2 innings and just some home runs. Like, he's just not – I mean, this Braves lineup is good. But
yeah.
So that's the hard part. The Cardinals lineup, though, is good.
But I think you pretty much ask any other team right now. They're saying the same thing. Man, our starting pitching has not been great. I mean, DeGrom got beat up. Nola got beat up. Bassett gave up 9 earned runs.
Oh, I know.
Manoah gave up 5 earned runs.
Yeah. Even Robbie Ray is hurt. Verlander's hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of injuries, too. How are we hurt? Just right off the bat. Come on, people.
Yeah, it's not the start that people were hoping for, especially if you're an ace of the staff. Opening day was not kind to you pitchers for the most part.
Do you have any fantasy baseball leagues?
I didn't do one this year.
I was this close, and I couldn't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
I wanted to.
I haven't done one, I think, since the last one I was in with you.
Yeah? Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I haven't done one for a couple of years. I was in one with Jason, for a few seasons, and I just won every year because of the way that he made it. It was like you can have unlimited amount of add and drops. You have as many pitchers on your team as you want. And so fantasy baseball, pitchers dominate. So I would just add and drop and have like 4 starting pitchers every single day.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is boring. I won like 5 years in a row. It's great that I'm winning, but
I love
the fact
winning.
that the fact that no one else has picked up on the strategy is confusing. Like I had like 2 guys in my like actual lineup at the top. That was it.
I would have last time I was playing, I would wait for a while because I'd always draft a catcher, but eventually I would just like, I'm going to dump the catcher for a pitcher or a different, an outfielder or something. I was like, because if you didn't get one of the 2 best ones, it just didn't make sense. And I'm not willing to pay for a catcher in fantasy. No. So Colin said he's in one. But yeah, I don't know. I miss fantasy baseball. I do like it. It's just, I haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah. If it's structured the right way, then it's fun because like my dad's in a keeper one where you have to have a catcher. You have to have someone in every single position and you have a certain amount of add and drops for the whole season. And so like stuff like that, if you structure it the right way, fantasy baseball can be fun if you're able to keep up with it, on a daily basis. But yeah, I haven't done it in the last couple of years because I kind of got burned out on it because some, just depend on which league you're in. If they didn't structure it right, it was all right. Everyone has 20 starting pitchers and 1 actual batter.
Yeah, that's not as much fun. But
no,
just mostly do fantasy football now.
Yeah, same here. I mean, we got fantasy basketball, but
no, I'm not doing that next year. I got suckered in one more year because we redrafted the Dynasty League, and it's been 20 years almost. No, I'm done. And next year, I think it makes 20. So maybe I should just say, no, I'll do 1 more year so I can make
just do 1 more. Hey,
no, it's terrible.
Maybe with the new rules, these guys will actually play, 65 games.
We'll see. Here's my problem. My favorite team growing up was the Suns with Steve Nash, right? Loved it. You know this. And in 04-05, they had the #1 efficiency rating in the league. Absolutely destroyed it. Nash, Barbosa, Eddie House is on that team as a quick shooting point guard. I mean, everything about this team. Marion. They would be dead last in today's NBA. They'd be a whole possession worse than the worst team in the NBA right now, which is the Spurs. So that's everything that's wrong with basketball for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's not an enjoyable thing to watch anymore. But I'm in the championship, just so you know. I'm probably going to get absolutely. Yeah, I'm probably going to get murdered. Jason's team's loaded.
Yeah, well, that figures. That's why he wanted the league to keep going.
Yeah.
That's the one. So that's what I do like. Basketball, you can. I I want a salary cap. I want transaction limits. I want stuff like that in it. I love that in
Mhm.
any sport. No, most people aren't willing to do that, but I like the roster size the best of baseball because there's so many players, and so you learn the game. So if you're ever like, I
Mhm.
really want to get into baseball, fantasy baseball is a really great way to do it. Just keep it simple. Join a simple public league that you don't know anybody, so that way you can just learn the players. I think that's a really great way because the roster's so big. You can quickly learn all these players. I mean, that's a great way for almost any sport, but you really can learn the ins and the outs and the young guys, prospects, stuff like that real quick and have some buy-in.
Another great way to learn about baseball or whatever is to like and subscribe to the W podcast.
That's pretty good.
I mean,
What a transition that was, man.
we're pretty knowledgeable when it comes to baseball and football, college football. So yeah, I mean, if you're trying to learn more, why not just drop a
Drop us that.
subscription here, or go and find us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Amazon Music, whichever one you feel like.
That's true. I don't even know how to find podcasts on Amazon Music. I do know I have Apple and Spotify. That's the only way I know how to find a podcast.
Hey, it's on there.
It is on there, 100%.
It randomly popped up on my mom's Amazon Music. She walked in there. She's like, "Look, you're on the suggestions for me." I was like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, I do have a suggestion for us. We need to get some hats,
dude. Absolutely, we need hats.
I'm gonna make some inquiries about it, but especially now that I'm in the market for a hat, that's what we need, some hats with the logo on it. I think that'd be
like wristbands like this. I think would be cool too.
That. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know the card guys love the wristbands.
Wristbands are all okay.
Yeah,
we'll do some inquiries. We'll see what we got.
Give a little shout out to our, Tim. He's a new viewer. He's an Oklahoma boy, and
nice.
He is an Army vet. So thank you for your service.
I appreciate that. Absolutely, yeah. Making it so we can do a podcast on a Monday night every single Monday night without him. Come on now.
Absolutely, yeah. So just a little shout out to him. I think this is maybe first or second time he's watched this, so he's a good guy that we met through the cards, and yeah, a little shout out to him.
Yeah, I love it. And Colin's all on board with the hat train. So we'll see what we can do. We can get a sick logo. I mean, it is the new logo. We could have one with the old logo, one with the new logo. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm all for it. You know me in hats, so
hey. I know, dude. I don't know how many hats do you have.
I mean, I have a lot.
Yeah, too many. 1, 2, 3. Too many to count. Yeah, that's all right.
I would say probably just a rough estimate, somewhere around 40.
Oh my gosh! Do you have a favorite?
No, I have. So what I do is, just so everyone knows, I wear a hat basically 24/7. Only time I don't is if I'm showering or I'm sleeping. Is the only time I don't wear a hat.
Makes sense.
And so what I'll do is I'll have one that I just wear every single day, and gets nasty, grimy. I'll do whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But so that's I may wear that one the most, but I don't really have one that I'm just like, yeah, I want to wear that hat all the time. Maybe, I don't know. I really like the PGA championship hat that I got.
Yeah.
But
I
just like that.
On the weekends, and he was wearing it this week, and I was like, man, it's just a nice hat. The color, the simplicity.
Yeah, that style of hats too. I'm really into, like the little rope hat, kind of like a little golfy snapback.
I have one of those. So maybe that's the style we start with.
Yeah, that brand is a pretty great brand. You can just buy normal hats. That Imperial brand, they're pretty solid hat brand. I'm all for that one.
I'm making an inquiry about it. I like it, man. All right, so last thing I have before we make the announcement of our winner for the signed NFL jersey, is just this Anthony Rendon 5-game suspension. I'm glad they actually went ahead and handed down the suspension for it before we had it, because that was going to be one of the topics. But here we are. What are you feeling about it?
Yeah, good for the MLB. It should have happened.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing. Yeah, if all it was is that guy called him the one word, and we won't mention that because we are a family-friendly.
We're a family-friendly podcast.
But you've probably heard way worse as a player on the field, and as you're going through the tunnels or whatever, you've probably heard way worse, and that's what's going to make you snap like that. My guess is that he was probably a little butthurt that they were only able to score 1 run on the A's opening day when Shohei went out there, pitched 6 innings, gave up a couple hits, and had 10 strikeouts, and you lose that game. Maybe that was a little bit of it, but
it's the epitome of the Angels. It's like,
yeah,
oh yeah, 485-foot home run from Trout, and the meme of like, and Shohei did something that no one's done since 1912, and they lost to the Tigers 8-3.
yeah. I mean,
okay.
the thing is like his reaction whenever they gave up that second run. I was like, that guy does not want to be there. He was standing in the dugout. They gave up the run, and he just goes and put his head down. I was like, yeah, he's not happy to be there. And I just found out today that he actually almost signed with the Dodgers out of high school, and now I'm really mad that he didn't.
Ooh, man, he probably would be a lot happier there, winning championships, divisions, everything.
Yeah, because this thing popped up with the pitcher from the A's that see what is Fujinami, pitched the other night, gave up 8 earned runs. I guess they were like high school rivals.
Of course.
And everyone was like, yeah, this Fujinami guy is the best player. He's going to be one of the best, Japanese players ever in, MLB. Well, I guess he had some, control issues over there. And we know the rest, that Ohtani is way better than him, and he is the best player in baseball. But yeah, and so they're like talking about it, and they're like, oh yeah, and Ohtani, it was almost certain that he was going to sign with the Dodgers out of high school. And I was like, you got to be joking me. Why'd you have to go and add that part?
Yeah, you don't need to hear this part. Yeah, absolutely.
No. Yeah.
But hey, you're the Dodgers. Life has been worse, in the early 2000s. You're fine.
I mean, we're going to get him anyway, so.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
man.
I sent you the picture of the Photoshop of him in the Dodgers uniform, and it was like perfect. It was like, this is something that really needs to happen.
Okay, well, then we can have Mike Trout. It's fine.
Okay, I'll take Ohtani.
That's true. Ohtani is better. Dadgummit.
Yeah. He's got more. He's got probably a few more years to go, too.
Yeah, they shelled out some more money, the Padres did, for another player not named Tatis and not named Soto. Obviously, Tatis already has his contract. But do you feel like right now they're at this tipping point where either they are going to have to choose Soto or choose Tatis?
Yeah, no, I agree. And that was what made the Bogaerts deal so head-scratching for me, was that you've got a guy, yeah, he's probably not the best defensive shortstop, and he may have eventually, moved out of there, but you still had Kim there, who is a great defensive shortstop. And then you go out and get Bogaerts. Yeah, great bat. He's a good defender, but you gave him way too much money. And now you look at it and you go, okay, are you willing to go that far over, into the luxury tax? Are you willing to pay that type of money every year and have it compound every single year? Because the way you are set up now, you've got Tatis on a big contract. You got Bogaerts. You got Manny Machado. You got Darvish.
Mm-hmm.
Musgrove's going to need a new contract. Hader's going to need a new contract. Snell, I mean, I imagine they'll probably let Snell walk, but
probably will.
Yeah,
but he's another guy that will have to get paid at some point.
Yeah, and now you got Cronenworth on a
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not the worst deal; it's a decent deal, but he's still on the books now, and you still haven't paid the guy you traded pretty much your whole farm system for.
Yeah,
paid up yet.
I think they're going to lean towards Soto over Tatis as it goes.
I would think so.
I think the steroids thing is going to be the thing, but the problem is it's a big contract, and for a guy who this is hey, you need to go out and there and prove it this year that you really can play and adjust to the outfield. Like that's another big part of it. I don't know. I just think it's an interesting idea that they had to kind of figure out. So I did miss this earlier. We had Alex Bregman over 16. Marcell Ozuna was bad. Cody Bellinger, he's tweaked his swing again. Terrible with the Cubs. So many any of these players that you're not really worried about.
I'm not worried about Bregman. Bregman's going to hit decently. 270 probably.
Mm-hmm.
Close to 30 home runs, maybe over 30 home runs. He's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
The other guys, I'm not holding my breath with Bellinger or Ozuna. I would hope that Bellinger would possibly have a better season with the shift changes, and maybe he'll come, in a couple, month or so. Maybe he'll figure something out. I don't know, but yeah. I have one question, kind of going back to the Soto Tatis deal. If it's you, who are you keeping, Tatis or Soto?
Dude, I don't want either. I don't want either. As a Cardinal, I wasn't willing to give up Dylan Carlson for Juan Soto. So before the steroids, it was Tatis. Give me Tatis.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd probably, because of that, I'm gonna lean Tatis because I got some in the chat also saying that, Colin. Thank you for that. I think that is just because when he's there, he's gonna bring eyeballs, he's gonna bring fans, he's gonna bring kids to the stadium because he was so electric and so much fun to watch. It's just can we move past the boneheaded mistakes? And I believe he can. I think he can. He just needs the right people around him. And for the record, I think in St. Louis, he probably can do that better than most places because that's just not going to put up with.
It's not a lie. I mean, that's absolutely not false. I think St. Louis would actually be a really great landing spot for him with the way the management is and the way the guys are, especially if Arenado's still there and Goldschmidt. By the time when this all happens, if it happened, you still have those leadership. Those leaders, something that the Padres absolutely don't have. And I think it would be actually a really great area there. But honestly, I would take Tatis as much as I don't like the way he plays the game. I'm not big on taunting, showboating, stuff like that. But the guy can play, and he's exciting. He brings something to teams that I think is an aspect that a lot of people don't realize, and it's energy. Energy is a big deal, especially in baseball when things can get a lull. You're sitting there, we need something. You get a guy like Tatis, and even if it's a single, he's out there and he's just like, okay, let's go, getting everyone ready. So I would honestly lean towards Tatis. So I think that Soto has the higher ceiling, but I think there's probably more of a boom or bust with him just based off the fact that at least with Tatis, he's got power. He can steal bases. Soto, we haven't really seen the power. He's great, walking, but can't steal base. He's not a great defender. Mm-hmm. So I would probably lean towards Tatis.
Wow. I think we had that. And then I don't appreciate Colin in the chat saying the Dodgers need a shortstop. They don't need that one. Okay. Let's just go ahead and not have that. Okay. The rich don't need to be even richer. Okay. Come on. You're a Jays fan. You got to be excited about this. You have why am I just blank?
Bo Bichette.
Thank you. I almost want to say Biggio, who's been kind of not sad, but just a utility player at best. But yeah, Bo Bichette is good, all right, so the good news is I wore my Royals gear tonight. Should have done that with Cardinals. They're getting thumped, but the Royals scored 7 runs so far against the Jays. It's in the top of the 5th.
Well, you found the secret sauce.
I did. Yeah, just wear mismatching stuff.
Hey, it works. It's all Royals.
It is. It is all Royals. All right. So big time news coming up. Y'all ready for this? You ready for this, Tubby?
I'm ready.
You ready? All right. Do you want to make the announcement? I told you who it was, right? The randomizer?
You go ahead and do it. You randomize it.
All right. So here's the winner of our first ever giveaway. Won't be our last. I don't think it'll be our last, but our first ever giveaway for the signed NFL jersey is on YouTube. It's at Crizzo1116 exclamation. Well, I think I added the exclamation mark. I think it's 1116. So at Crizzo1116. Congrats.
Hey, I'm pretty sure I know who it is. So
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure it's someone within the card community. But I mean, we're absolutely will do another one because I have another jersey sitting over there ready to go.
Colin said Chris Rizzo. I wasn't sure if it was a nickname, Rizzo, like maybe he was a Cubs fan or a Yankees fan, loves Rizzo, but their first name is C. I didn't know. And so I was like, this is good that I didn't know because of a screen name, because I didn't want to be biased. But randomizer, that's the winner. And yeah, I'm excited. We're going to have to you'll have to DM us either on Twitter or on Instagram. I don't think you can message on YouTube, but Instagram or
Instagram will probably be the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll message Chris Rizzo just to see if it's him for sure.
Yeah.
And get it that way. Then also Colin, you'll need to DM me your address and stuff too. Send you out some stickers or something for always being in the chat with us.
Yeah, greatly appreciate it. Y'all are the best. I mean, guys, we're on the road to 250 subs on YouTube. So if you haven't already, be sure to come and support the channel. Do you know how many subs we have right now, Tubby?
Last time I checked, it was 113.
Yeah. Let me check real quick. I'm gonna pull it up live right now. 113. I was hoping it was 114 and be like, oh, someone said, and they didn't. So we're still on the journey to 250. Once we get to 250, you bet we're gonna do another giveaway. That's the number, 250. So
250.
keep sharing, keep liking, keep subscribing. We greatly appreciate it. The sports are so much fun to talk about, but they're way more fun to talk about when you have other people here. I tell that to everybody. Well, not everybody. I tell it to my wife because guess what? When she's out of town, who am I supposed to talk sports to? You know? Do you remember that? Do you ever seen Hot Rod?
Oh yeah.
You remember, who am I supposed to build rants for? Who am I supposed to build? That's what I feel like. Who am I supposed to talk sports to? She's not here, so she's great. All right. Well, we thank you guys so much for the support again. I know I'm on a side tangent, but we're gonna see you all next Monday. All right, everybody. See you.
See ya.